I'm Chris Johnson, CEO of Good Eggs Grocery, and I'm super excited to kick off our first episode of From the Source. The very first episode, we have conversations with farmers, chefs, producers, talk about good food. Very excited to be here with our very own Chef Ann, our head of R&D.
Thanks
Welcome,
for
Chef
having
Ann.
me. Should
Yeah,
we do a toast for our first episode?
yeah. Let's do a toast. Cheers.
Cheers.
Chef Ann, let's start with a few questions. Would love to learn a little bit about your role as the head of R&D and what things are like in your like day to day.
I love the job because I get to wear a lot of hats, a lot of different chef hats. And every day looks a little bit different because of that. So some days I am in the kitchen with our executive chef, Chef Luis, and we are testing recipes, getting to see what's tasty, going through maybe the same recipe multiple times and trying out different vinaigrettes. Or we're launching a new line of deli salads and pasta salads. So that might look like figuring out what components you need in those salads so they can feel like the classic American deli salad.
Love that.
Many days we are working with the marketing team to figure out what do we want what do we want to make for customers? What do we think that we talk about some items are meant to excite and delight. Some items that we make are meant to be very specific and reliable meal solutions. I think another goal of mine is to try to do both in one product. Really getting to like collaborate with the team, Samia, our head of marketing growth, deciding with her what we're going to produce and what sort of solutions we want to bring to people, working with Luis, our executive chef, to come up with those recipes, to think about like, yes, this is delicious. We made one recipe here. Can we scale this? Does this work for a large scale production? Um, and so, going through that process and not just making it once, but now let's scale up and let's see, can we make 50 units of this? And is it still work? Do we still maintain the same quality? So, and then I will say, I think, again, wearing many hats, the creative element of it, not just creating the recipes, but getting to work with our photographer, Meg, and how we want to style those, how we want to present them, for merchandising photos, but also for social media. Um, we want our customers to get excited about those products. And so getting, to spend a day with our photographer shooting those products is another part of the job that I really enjoy.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds so amazing. I mean, tell us a little bit more about that. Like, I mean, how are you identifying like, those products that, get our customers like super excited? Like, what are those, like, what are you hearing from customers?
Yeah, so we look at sales numbers, obviously. We see what's working, what's selling really well. Um, but I love that we also talk to the customers and we, listen to their feedback, their reviews. Um, I like, for instance, one of the dishes that I'm biased because I created it, but our Vietnamese noodle salad
Oh, I love
with
that one.
with nuc.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Mhm.
I love Vietnamese food. It's one of my favorite
Yeah.
cuisines. So the herbs and the nok chom vinaigrette, peanuts and the fried shallots. There's a lot going on in that dish. So I love that we get to hear from customers that they love it too. And again, that is, I think, a great example of something that checks the box where it excites and delights. It's not a sad lunch,
Yeah.
it's a fun lunch, but it's also really healthy.
Healthy. It's
So
got great texture. Yeah.
yes, yeah.
Mhm.
So I think something like that is a great example.
Hmm. And maybe like tell me a little bit more about like, how are you, identifying like seasonal ingredients,
Yep. Yeah.
when you're putting together like a finished meal or product.
Yeah. I mean, one of the great things about Good Eggs is feeling like the Good Eggs kitchen is such a flagship, for the brand, but also, the produce, the beautiful produce that we bring in and all the farmers that we work with. Um, so seasonality is super important. We're approaching summertime right now, which is very exciting, especially in California with all the bounty. So just, like knowing, we've just cycled through some of our like popular spring items where we're using, green beans and snap
Snap
peas.
peas.
Yes,
Yes.
yes. Asparagus,
Hmm.
so those dishes have been really fun. We do a spring minestrone, with a
Yes.
pistachio
The snap
pesto.
pea minestrone is like one of my
Love it.
favorites. Yeah,
Yeah. So I think, um, that is really important to highlight for seasonality. But also, we were like, as we're moving into summer, we do a lot more with tomatoes. One of my favorite dishes coming up in the next few months is our gazpacho
yeah.
that we make with early girl tomatoes.
Yes.
And so that to me is like a great example of we partner with Dirty Girl Farms. That's where we source our tomatoes from. And we're actually using, they're called seconds, which is I don't want to say ugly, but the more imperfect but very ripe
Hmm.
tomatoes that we get from them. And so
It's a
we
great
use
way to give
them.
them a home, right? Yeah.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Yeah. And, we talk a lot about sustainability
Yeah.
and having that sort of connection to the land and to the farmers. And so again, that dish is something that I feel like customers are excited about. They know that it's coming up and they know that it's, we don't offer it year round for obvious reasons, but um, they're excited to have that when the end of summer comes around. So,
Yeah.
yeah, seasonality is super important. And moving into like the fall, I think our customers are really excited to see like the harvest salads, and we use, organic delicata squash. And it's a nice way to kind of help people feel like they're getting, all their seasonal produce that we've already prepared for them in delicious dishes.
Yeah. Now, would you say like those are some of the qualities that make like good eggs like special and unique, or what are some of the things that make cooking like with local fresh ingredients like different from like regular grocery shopping?
um yeah, I mean, I think if you're talking about everything coming out of the kitchen, I think it's just a really, you know as a chef, even I struggle at home to cook nutritious food for my family, to find the time, yeah, the bandwidth to do that sort of meal planning. So I think if we can help customers with, having the kitchen as a resource for healthy, wholesome, nutritious food that is also highlighting, seasonal ingredients, that feels like a win for everybody.
Awesome. I guess where like this is like a great like segue. So like I
Yeah.
guess where do you see the most waste happening, in kitchens or food production? And I guess, where do you see like opportunities to try to reduce it?
Yeah. I mean, I would say within our kitchen, uh, we really do a good job of minimizing waste. We do a really lovely vegetable broth in house.
Hmm.
And that is, from all of our, the extra like celery and carrots and onions and a lot of the vegetables that the ends of those that you would normally put into a compost. We take those and we turn that into a lovely stock. Um, we we do a really beautiful family meal that I'm very proud of Chef Luis and how he really brings a lot of love and puts a lot of love into the food that he brings to our whole
Yeah.
team.
Our
You guys
staff
get to
loves
have a
it.
great, yeah,
Yes.
yeah. And so that is a lot of very cleverly used extra ingredients that we have in the kitchen. And I think because of that, we in our kitchen don't have a lot of waste. But those are two examples of usually when you're not, taking care in other kitchens, when maybe you're not taking extra time to take care of your staff and do a lovely family meal. There's an example of,
Oh, it's like the
waste.
family meal, and then we also have like a food recovery program, and so
Exactly.
like throughout the like the supply chain, right? Like we're
Yes.
making sure that we're
Exactly.
minimizing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Hmm. Yeah. No, that's great. I mean, I guess outside of even like our system, I guess are there things that you might recommend to people as like good practices?
Yeah. I think if you do mean at home, maybe
Yeah, like
for
at home.
yeah,
Hmm.
at home, minimize waste. That's a great question.
Hmm.
And I think that's something as a chef, am trying to practice that at home in my own family as well. So I think those are two examples there. In my house at home, we do a lot of like leftover nights, and you get creative with what you're doing with your, a lot of your extra leftovers, um, vegetables we've already prepped throughout the week, sauces that maybe you have a little bit left of like a pistachio pesto sauce, like I often have in
Hmm.
my kitchen at home, that we get from Good Eggs that I love.
Yep.
Um, So I would say, figuring out how to get creative with extra ingredients that you have at home. I also do I do make a lot of fish stocks at home. I make a lot of vegetable stocks from like leftover vegetables that I have in the fridge. Same thing with roasted chicken. I always take a roasted chicken and afterwards turn that into like a fish, excuse me, a chicken stock or chicken soup. So I think those are a lot of ways that you can really minimize waste at home.
Maybe tell me something you think customers maybe don't realize about, what it takes to bring a meal from, I guess conception to the door.
Yeah, I'm happy to take, our customers or talk about that
Yeah, like
whole
through that whole
process.
process.
Okay.
Yeah.
Uh, well, I think a great example of that is, let's see, something that we've done recently that I was really excited about. Um, our chickpea marsala
Mm.
dish, something that I love. I think again, it's a very tasty dish, healthy, wholesome. So what we would do is we would figure out, again, working with the marketing team, collaborating with the other stakeholders and the chef in the kitchen. We're figuring out, our customers they want more ready to eat meals. They want more, lunch day meal solutions that aren't necessarily salads. So we're thinking about what would excite people, what's tasty. We're probably also looking at the competition or seeing uh, what other restaurants or grocery stores are putting out as meal solutions. And then we're sitting down together and figuring out like what's tasty, what would excite us, what would we want to eat at home, what would we be excited to sell to the customers, and so we'll arrive at a few different options, and one of them happened to be our chickpea tikka masala dish. And you know what? When I think about the list too of dishes that we're maybe taking through the whole R&D process, they are usually they are all representing a different cuisine. So maybe within that same batch of testing, we'll have like a few Mediterranean options. We'll do this popular Indian option. Um, a few Middle Eastern options. Definitely, we always have something with Latin flavors that's
Yep.
usually on our list. And so we will start um, doing a lot of recipe development. We will start, we'll look at like who are our favorite chefs, who's making a dish that is similar, see how they're doing it, do some research, and then get in the kitchen, get to work, and start cooking up several different recipes of chickpea marsala. Looking at, we want to say for instance there's butter in this recipe, but we want to eliminate that. We want to use, we are eliminating seed oils from our recipe, so we're not going to use canola oil. We're going to look at, can we use an avocado oil because we want to make this vegan.
Yeah, it's all
um,
the dietary
yeah,
restrictions and
yeah,
all those things that, yeah, I think
exactly.
people we take for granted, right? Yeah.
Totally, yeah, and we also know our customers, someone that is excited to see a chickpea, uh, marsala dish, like Rakesh,
Mhm.
like our, head of finance, he was really excited for that, but then I also know that he prefers to eat vegan mainly, so
Yep.
that is, like, a good reminder to me when I'm talking to everybody, even if it's not our chefs, it's, everybody in our company, which I love, is a foodie, so it's nice to kind of chit chat about what they're looking
Yeah.
for as well. So then we know, okay, we got to figure out how can we make this vegan um, and tasty.
Yeah.
And so we're going through lots of different recipe variations, and then we do some sampling. We decide the recipe we're going to go with. We do some tastings. We look for feedback.
That's the fun part,
That's the
right?
fun part. Yeah, we're looking for feedback, and we're also figuring out, okay, we want to add some veggies to this. We want to make this like a well-rounded meal. We want to add some turmeric rice to it. So that, that's the taste part of it. Then we want to figure out how can we package this so that it will also arrive to our
Ship
customers.
well,
It'll
yeah.
ship well. It'll, I eat with my eyes, and I know our customers do too. So it has to present nicely. Um, and then we're also figuring out how can we make sure that this recipe, whether we're making one dish or we're doing 200, we're scaling up. How can we make sure it's just as tasty when we scale up this recipe? So we really hone in on all of that. And then we work with our vendors and our farmers to make sure we're going to have the ingredients that we need, that we can source easily. and then we are, all the nerdy stuff like the merchandising, um, and figuring out how we're gonna share this and market this to our customers. And then, as I mentioned, my favorite part, getting to get in the studio with our photographer Meg.
Yeah, I was gonna say
And
the food styling is the piece
yeah,
that has been the most interesting to me.
totally, yeah, because
Yeah,
you want to, um we obviously present all the food,
yeah,
as is, but we want to convey that, yes, this is not a sad lunch, this is going to be
yeah,
something delicious. And so the photos to me are always very important.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And then we take it to market.
Mhm.
It's up on the site and we start cooking.
Yeah, it's a whole
It's a whole
process.
process.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. Well, yeah, thanks for walking us through that. It's
Uh-huh.
yeah, I mean it's like a whole journey to get all the way to the table. Yeah, I mean I guess with that, like, I mean, maybe tell me what excites you the most about where, food cooking and sourcing, are heading over the next few years.
I will say, if when you look at food trends year after year,
Yeah, we can talk about
I
food trends in a sec.
I
Yeah.
love
Tell me about food trends.
I love how there is just, the standard of which we are sourcing things, like just the international flavors. Um, I think like a big trend this year, like matcha, but not just in, as a drink or in a dessert, but in as a savory flavor is something that I'm seeing.
Yeah.
That's really exciting. We're still playing around with, like pickled items, and
Oh
but
yeah.
it just what
I would love to see that. Like,
yeah.
like yeah. Hmm.
So I think there's just so much going on with food as far as ethnically where things are coming from.
Hmm.
Like I'm seeing right now a lot of like Ethiopian flavors and spices, um, that are kind of being very, I don't know. There's a lot of nuance within the food that we're
The
eating right
different like
now.
flavor
Different
profiles
flavor
that are yeah.
profiles, yeah.
Mhm.
Um,
I just love seeing like experimentation in like food like in general, right? And so to the extent that we can like bring more of that to like customers like tables, I think that's like one of the fun parts of being like a food company, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, even if you look at, like, our snack line,
Mhm.
you look at, some of, like, the nut flavors that we have right now. They're fun. The food, it continues to be, I think, um, playful too. Like, doing, like, pickle spices on our
Yeah.
pistachios, or, like, Thai curry, cashews. Like, I'm just noticing that the standard in snacking is that everything has a lot of flavor.
I guess what is one small shift that you would recommend for, home cooks to make so that they can cook more like a chef with,
Mm.
um, better ingredients?
Yeah. Um, I think having kind of a set dry pantry
Hmm.
is always really helpful. Making sure you have some of like basic spices is always really important. Um, I think as a enjoying California and thinking about like what I have in my kitchen, since I've been living in the state for 10 years, I definitely have more of like an Asian pantry. So I think having fun things in your pantry, like, tamari, spicy sambal, sesame
Hmm.
seeds, it's just some of those like basic things, sesame oil, always having like fresh ginger and garlic on hand. Um, that's kind of like quintessential Asian pantry
Yep.
ingredients. I think,
What's like
if
the
you think
top
about
item in your pantry, I guess? Number
top,
one used item.
yeah. I mean, obviously it's gonna be like a variety of olive oils,
Yeah.
like different olive oils. Um, avocado oil. I'm a big vinegar person,
Mm-mm.
so anything from like a tarragon vinegar, sherry
Oh,
vinegar.
okay. Yeah.
I think anything like that. Like Chinese black vinegar.
Mhm.
I think there's just a lot of ways
Yeah.
to really, kind of excite yourself with those sort of stronger flavors. um, I think that's something to do. And I know we're talking about, food, but I would also say, practicing up on your knife skills. Having really like a sharp set of knives at home
Hmm.
just makes food prep so much easier. And I think helps you get through, kind of like the basic parts of any sort of recipe and allows you to have more fun with it.
Pro tip:
Yeah.
no dull knife,
No,
no dull
yes.
knives.
No dull knives. That's how you
Yeah.
cut yourself, with a dull knife.
Nice. What do you feel like makes good eggs like special and unique?
Uh, Good eggs is special and unique
Yeah.
because, like I think I mentioned this at the beginning of our episode, but I really feel like we are providing some really lovely meal solutions for customers. A lot of ready to eat products that are tasty but also nutritious. But I also love our connection to all the farmers. I love when you're shopping through the website, you get to see what farm your strawberries are coming from, or you get to know like a lot of our hyper seasonal ingredients, like some of the beautiful radicchios that we just cycled through. You get to know where that's coming from, and I find that to be really special. Um, and I see those same growers at the farmers markets when I'm
Yep.
shopping down at the Grand Lake Theater in Oakland on Sundays, and like it's great to see them from both places. I think is really lovely.
So last speed round question: what's in your kitchen right now?
In my kitchen right now is, as I mentioned, olive oil.
Yeah.
I have a little area next to my stove that has olive oil, avocado oil, three different kinds of salts.
Yeah.
Uh, Always want to have a good pepper mill for fresh cracked pepper. And then I have next to that a little, like, it looks like a bouquet, uh, but is a jar of fresh herbs.
Hmm.
So I always think that's inspiring to have fresh herbs in your kitchen that look like a bouquet of flowers, but you can pick from and use in your dinner that night too.
Awesome. Favorite new item?
Favorite new item from the kitchen? Honestly, it's gonna be our pasta salad coming out next week.
Uh,
It tastes
Soft
like
plug.
yes, a plug. Honestly, it tastes like to me summer what summer's like as a
Yeah.
kid. It's got, like the pasta and we use a lot of like fancier Castelvetrano olives or Kalamata olives. This has like sliced black olives in it and salami, lots of veggies, very light red wine vinaigrettes. And yeah, it tastes to me like what I like to eat yeah, in the summertime
Awesome.
at a barbecue. So
Three
there's my plug.
three things for me. There is one is soft plug, which is the matcha chia pudding, which we're
Yes.
launching. It's so pretty,
It's
but
that yes, the
so
color.
pretty, the
Yeah,
color,
eat with your eyes.
but also yeah, eat with your eyes. Also tastes
Very
amazing.
yep.
And it's citrus season, and
Hmm.
there are these like gold nugget mandarins that taste so good. Like
Yep.
had them this past weekend. And then the last item is, like I go to Flower and Water. We just talked about it. Go
Hmm.
to Flower and Water like all the time, like the restaurant. But had their margarita, like taking baked pizza for the first time.
Yep.
It was so good. So definitely recommend. Like just
I
try
love
that.
that one. And I
Yeah.
actually I had that 2 nights ago and I put some of our wild arugula on top of
Oh,
it.
that's pro
And
tip.
yeah, pro tip.
I didn't do that. I should do that next time.
And I dressed it
Yeah.
first with as you know, I love the pistachio
Oh my god.
pesto sauce from the
Okay.
kitchen, from Good Eggs
Yeah.
Kitchen. Toss that and then put it on top of the pizza. So it
Oh my god. I
was
have to write
like
this
a
down.
salad pizza. I highly recommend
Okay, arugula and the
the pistachio pesto
pistachio
from the
pesto.
Good Eggs Kitchen.
Okay, I'm going to
Yes.
do that next time.
Yep.
I'm going to write this down right after this.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I mean, I guess with that, we will wrap our very first episode of From the Source.
Thanks for
So,
having me.
yeah, thank you for joining,
It's been
and
fun.
thank you all for listening.